Okay, so we're going to talk about influencing and why influencing is important, why building a following is important, and how that's relevant whether you want to be popular or not, or if you're already building your career and you already have a decent influence, how to take that influencing model to the next level. So, everybody's usually familiar with what influencers are. Um, the traditional route today is people are going on Instagram, they're going on YouTube, and they're building just a lot of people to follow them. And a lot of times they don't have a reason to do that. They're doing it hoping that they're going to get some free swag out of it. A lot of them have aspirations to have a career with it. But today I want to talk about why every single employee, why every single manager should be treating themselves as an influencer. And I want you to see what I've been doing with my own staff. And I also want to break down some of what I've done in my career and for other people. So before I get started on all this, I want to give everybody a background on who I am, what I've done, and why you might want to listen to this. So I'm mid 30s now, and I grew up in a really small area in the middle of nowhere and just really behind the times. We barely even had internet connection, um, while everyone else had internet, had technology, all kinds of stuff. So, and the reason that's important is I want you to see that I went from living 10 miles away from the closest village. The village only had 1,000 people in it, and I went from that to Hollywood, having millions of people buying my products, following me, and being an influencer. So, how can you go from that small to that big, and why is that important in your career? So, um, the main thing I'm going to talk about today is two different directions. I'm going to talk about your Dharma, your DHARMA, um, your purpose, and then I'm also going to talk about content flow. And when you blend both of those together, that's going to build your influence model really well. So a lot of people, they approach the influence direction from the wrong direction. So like I said, I grew up in a small village and well, outside of the village in the middle of nowhere. And um, in taking that to the next level, my goal was never to become popular. My goal was never to be an influencer. My goal was simply to be the best version of myself that I could be. And in doing that, that created the following, that created the influence model. And it wasn't just a one night thing, it wasn't um, a clear direction of how to get there. I just saw, okay, well, I'm really good at this sport. I'm really good at this um, academic subject. Let me share that with other people. Let me tell others how to be successful too. So, on a local level, when you share stuff like that, just within your own family, your own community, you're going to build an influence model that way. And that's the best way to start. You want to start just by taking the people that are around you and finding a way to influence them. If you're a mother, you're a father, you have kids, be an influencer to your kids and share the best pieces of your wealth with them. And the other thing you want to do is make sure that you don't hold them back. Don't look at their age and say, well, I'm the mother. That's a 6-year-old. I need to treat them like they're six. Um, you need to just see their spirit and talk to their spirit and give their spirit the best guidance you possibly can, regardless of their age, regardless of their IQ. Because just like this video, I'm going to record this and share this with people. So you can watch it any time. If you don't understand it the first time, you can come back a year later, 5 years later, and understand it then. But always give people the best kind of information you can from day one. So expanding on that, after you have that local following, if you can't get 5 people to follow you locally, if you can't get your own children to follow you or your own brothers, sisters, or colleagues, um, a small group of 5, then you have no business going online and trying to get millions and millions of people to follow you. It should happen organically. It should happen naturally. And so after you build up a few, then you want to see, okay, well, what effect am I actually having on these people? Am I the person that they go to for knowledge? Am I the person they go to for happiness? Am I just naturally inspiring them to be healthier? Maybe you're naturally inspiring them to study more. Whatever you're naturally inspiring people to do, that's how you're an influencer. So we are all influencers in life. And we want to see, how are we influencing society? How are we influencing just naturally the people closest to us? And if you're the kind of person that's naturally influencing people to go do drugs, naturally influencing people to go party and be wild, well, I hope you don't watch this video and learn this, because that's just not something you want to do. There's a lot of other pieces of dharma, and everybody has a purpose in life that's going to help community. And when you tap into that, you're going to be a lot happier. And I really feel if you have 30,000 people following your words and following what you do, I really think we are all destined to be someone in society that has that large of a following, if not bigger. Because there's so many students out there that are lost. And if you're even capable of understanding what I'm saying, that means that you've mastered the English language. The majority of the world has not mastered this yet. So you need to see that you're privileged, and it's not an ego stroke to get 30,000 people to follow you. It's not an ego stroke to get 100 people to follow you. So, and for the people that are only career oriented, that care nothing about being an influencer, you also need to see that a manager like myself, I don't want to hire you and put you in a management position unless you know how to influence people. I don't even want to make somebody an assistant manager, because as an assistant manager, you're probably going to have a dozen people working underneath of you. So when those dozen people work underneath of you, if the most people you've ever worked with in your life are 12 people, then those dozen people, that's going to tap out your management abilities, your influence abilities. So if you learn how to manage 100 people, if you learn how to inspire and influence 5,000 people, then when you get into a job and they say, well, we're giving you 12 employees, you're going to be the assistant manager of this, those 12 should be very easy for you to guide and steer. So being an influencer is all about taking energy and guiding energy in a harmonious direction for a purpose. And I want to steer people away from the fact that, it's not just about posting up photos on Instagram, posting up stuff online and getting likes. Being an influencer has a much deeper mission than that. And influencers have been around for centuries. Gandhi was an influencer. He just didn't have an Instagram account. So how can you move from where you are to that direction, and why is that important? Let's take Lyra, for example, and let's talk about her career. And this is an archetype that a lot of people are going to fall into. So she went to a U.S. university. She then got a job, and told by society, told by her boss, told by the family, everybody, do better at your job, make more money, get a promotion, figure out what you want to do, and work really hard. And that's common for all of us. And then somewhere in there, if she gets a raise, she'd get excited. Um, if the company takes her ideas more seriously, that looks like it's good. It looks like it's showing progress in the career. But that's actually not how you want to build your career. You want to go against the grain with what society's telling you to do. So after she got out of college, after she got that job, it would have been more advantageous to learn, even in your internship, fresh out of college, or even during college. At that point, you want to learn, how can I influence a dozen other people, and how can I make them all follow me, and how can I manage that much energy? Because the problem is, most people are just looking at their own life and they're saying, okay, if I wake up today and if I go to work, I did a good job. If I take my vitamins today, then I'm successful. They set their bar of success so low that even if they hit it 100%, look at the checklist you have in your day at the end of the day. You're like, okay, I got the kids' lunches made. I made sure everybody was happy, and I went to work. I didn't get depressed. I studied a little bit, and I read a chapter in the book. And you have this checklist of what to do in your day, and at the end of the day, you feel good about yourself. You're like, okay, I did pretty good. I worked on myself. So to be an influencer and to harness more energy in the world, you have to set that bar a lot higher. You have to change that not only from giving time to yourself, but you have to change your perspective completely to look at those people around you. And you need to realize the community needs to have a checklist, not you individually. Yes, you need elements of your own. You need elements of your own checklist to be successful, but you don't need every single thing in your life to be about you. The more you put it back into your community, the more that's going to hold more things together. So, looking at that, let's look at a different checklist. With Lyra, for example, if she instead says, "Okay, I'm working for this company. We have 20 employees, and I'm the executive assistant here. My job is to make sure the emails go through, flyers are made, and I'm going to use my money to buy some new makeup. I want to get some hair extensions. I'm going to save up for the beach trip, and I'm really excited about all that." That's a typical millennial vision, or just really any generation, of how they're going to spend their time, energy, and money. So if you shift that, and if you instead say, okay, we have 20 employees here, let me look in and see, what are these employees not being successful at? Do we have interns in the company? Do we have people that are beneath me even? Because even if I'm brand new, there has to be somebody here that's beneath me in the ranks that I can then be an influencer for. And being an influencer for them, you don't even have to give the best version of yourself. You have to give the best version that they need. Sometimes you're going to be a coach and you're going to be an influencer in directions that you never have done before. A lot of parents can tell you that. As a parent, you have to influence a child in subjects you never have even dreamt that you would be the teacher of. And it's hilarious because the child just looks at you as the master. They look at you like, mom knows or dad knows, and you don't know. So you have to fake it to make it in that situation. And by your second, third child, you got it figured out. You realize, okay, I'm the influencer whether I want to be or not. Well, business works the same way. If you want to move to the top, let's look at myself. I'm the CEO of a large company. I'm the influencer whether I want to be or not. People watch my actions in every single department, and they think that I'm the expert over there. But it hasn't always been that way. I've had employees 10 years, 20 years older than me when I was early in my 20s as a CEO, and I was just fascinated that they wanted to turn to me for the knowledge. Now I understand why. They want to have an influencer. They want somebody that's going to set the rules for them. They want somebody that is going to guide them during the day. So instead of Lyra sitting there and saying, this is my next vacation I'm going to plan for, and I'm excited. I set my alarm. I actually got up at 30 minutes before my alarm went off. Those are too small of goals. Let's expand that and let's just snap in to a whole new chapter of life. And let's say, okay, I have 6 other people that I have to manage, and I need to learn how to influence them. And the crazy thing is, to get 6 people, you're going to have to actually learn how to manage 100 people just to get 6. Because when you manage 100, you're going to mess up with 94 of them, and only 6 are going to succeed, and that's okay. So let's think about some of the things you could do to shift into a new consciousness. So Lyra, let's even talk about what you're doing now, and let's talk about your personal influence that you gave yourself and how that's going to shift into community influence. And this is just the first chapter of learning how to be an influencer. And then we're going to move on to other aspects of influencing even more people. So let's discuss that. What change in consciousness did you have going from where you were to where you are now in being just a budding influencer at the beginning?
Well, I definitely have been a follower for a very, very long time. And I think it's this year, yeah, I think I'm just at a new chapter that I am becoming an influencer, because, like, first of all, I am leading a team of 12 right now, and they just look up to me and they just like, whoa, you know. So I have been trying to be a really good role model for them. Um, and also, just people started to tell me that they are so fascinated by like how I teach lessons online. And I have people tell me that they are very inspired and they want to learn from me to be an amazing teacher. So um, and yeah, so that's where I am at now. And what's your
And
question?
with your current career and your timeline of what you're doing in your day, how has your day shifted since you've taken on those extra 12 people? For example, what did you do before in that time? Because you still have a full-time job. Being an influencer is usually an extra job on top of your normal job. So I
Yes.
want to discuss a little bit about maybe what your free time looked like before and how your free time has shifted now once you've taken on the influencer position.
Well, first of all, I don't have free time anymore because I give my free time to those 12 people or anything else.
Right.
Um, so I just use the method you taught me before. You said to use let me
What
think.
was it, dodging
Somehow,
work or?
yeah, dodging work, kind of a blend of dodging work and belief. I I first of all I make sure I set rules for the whole team, and then once the team can move um smoothly without me, then I kind of just back out. I just let them do what they're supposed to do, and then if someone is not really, normally there are a couple in a team. You will always find a few people that they just kind of lost, and I need to give my time to those people that are kind of falling behind. So
Okay. So overall, what I'm hearing you say is that you used to have free time and you made a sacrifice to give up a lot of your free time so that you can become an influencer to these 12 people.
right.
Okay, so I also want people to see that when you start out, yeah, you just need to learn how to be an influencer. Um, so like in Lyra's situation, as she's learning how to become an influencer, there's probably brand new tools that you're using that you never used before. I think you're leading these people right now on WeChat. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
And it's probably new for you to set up your own group and be the leader of that group. Even though you've been involved in a lot of groups on WeChat, this is probably the first one where you've been the leader of it, right?
Yes.
So was there a learning curve there on learning that software, learning how to lead it, even the small things, how to put up the group photo, all of that kind of stuff?
For the technology side, no, it was very easy. I think something actually hit my head today because, like back then I think, okay, I'm an influencer, so I need to be the best version of myself. I need to be the role model, blah blah blah. But I agree with you. It's not about the best version of myself. It's about the best version of them, you know and you also taught me that I need to be less selfish and to give more time to empower those people. And I think that's the direction I need to shift because I don't think the strengths I have is being competitive or being intelligent, being extremely intelligent. I don't think that's my strength. I think my strength is to give my love, give my encouragement, and I think they would flourish from there.
Right. So essentially, being a influencer is also being a teacher. It's being a guide, it's being a mentor. And if you don't like guiding other people, and if you always have to be at the top, then influencing really isn't for you. I look at it like being a vessel. So think about being a ship, and your goal is to guide the ship in the right direction and fill the ship up with as many people as you can so that they are then successful. So as Lyra said, yeah, you might start out influencing people, and to give you an idea, I don't even know what she's influencing right now, but I think she's leading some investment courses and teaching people financial freedom and financial investments. And her initial goal in that was to have better financial success herself. And in doing it, you'll actually realize halfway along the path of being an influencer, the real goal is being that vessel. And the real goal and the real satisfaction comes in seeing other people succeed. Anybody at the top, let's look at Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, look at people that have incredible wealth. They're not sitting there bragging about how incredible they are. They're more bragging about how strong of influencers they are, and not so much about the fact that they can influence, but they're pointing and shining the light on other people that they've influenced. They're like, look at what my framework did for this person. Look at what my vessel created over here. So you'll get a lot more students, you'll get a lot more people to influence if you can show people in the past that you've had an amazing influence with. Um, so I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about my career again, and I know this is a slow-paced talk today, but I really want you guys to understand and think about what it means to be an influencer, and this should change a huge consciousness in your life. The only people that I see that are going to be incredibly successful are those that have the mindset that come to me or come to their boss or their manager or anybody and say, listen, I want to be a stronger influencer. I want to impact more people. How can I play my part so that the community grows, so that people are more successful, and that people have more wisdom, more happiness, better health? How can I play my part so the most people get touched and I have the strongest impact? Because being an influencer and having impact, they go hand in hand. If you sit there and in 20 years' time, you helped one family out, that's not that impressive. But in 20 years' time, if you helped 50,000 families out, that's very impressive. So the person that helped 50 families out, that's an influencer. The person that helped one family out, well, that's better than helping nobody, but that's not really an influencer. So no matter who you are in business, your end goal should be to influence. So going back to my own career, in my early 20s, I was traveling the world as a lifeguard and furthermore as a fitness coach. And I got a job offer in Southern California, and I never had really been anywhere big. I'd been on a few islands and doing some tour stuff in the hospitality industry, but then I wanted to go out to California, and I heard that there was a lot of amazing health stuff there, and I wanted to be a stronger influencer. And I thought, well, I can learn from these people in California. I can learn from the best health advice, all of that. And in taking in mind before I went there, I was already in great shape. I had already made a lot of big changes on the East Coast where I was from, or Midwest. I had some doctors that I'd helped to lose weight. I helped entire communities reshape their fitness programs, working with large hospitals, um, doing a lot of amazing work in the Midwest doing that. And I thought, okay, so I'm going to go to California. This is where all the best people in the industry are. So I was studying fervently before I went out there and trying to prepare myself to be around such great people once I got there. And when I arrived, it was culture shock for me. It wasn't like what it was in the movies. I got an amazing job. I took over clients for about, one trainer had about 60 clients. He'd been there for 7 years. He was training a lot of celebrities. He was training CEOs and VIPs in the Malibu and Santa Barbara areas. So I took over for that. Um, and I was teaching indoors and outdoors. And what was really fascinating to me was this trainer wasn't very strong. He wasn't really giving his all to that career. And the clients were okay with it. I mean, these clients were multimillionaires and they just had a status quo that was very low. So he was going to his job. He would stand there with a coffee and he would be talking to people, and he just didn't really care if they were more successful. He was just happy to check it off. This is another client, another hour for me, a little bit more money. Where my purpose in going there, I really wanted to influence people. I was excited to learn from someone better than me. I was early 20s. I was like 22. Um, and I thought when I go here, I'm going to learn so much more. And what I learned very quickly is that people really don't care about their job. It took me maybe a decade to learn that, because after that situation, take a whole decade. I traveled the world a lot. I learned from a lot of people, and I kept trying to find the other influencers in life that cared as much about people as I did, and I never found them. Yes, I did find them here and there. Maybe one out of 100,000 people I would find literally cared about other people besides themselves. Think about that. One out of 100,000. I mean, I've met hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, and those are just my own personal statistics. Um, but there's a lot of truth to that, and that's why we have so few influencers. Now, a lot of the influencers, they're not on the same agenda that I am, where they truly care about others and they want to give people education, they want to give people knowledge. But there are a lot in small companies, mid-level managers. They really care about their 10 employees. They care about their 30 employees that they're working with. Um, and my experience in California taught me very quickly, as a young 22-year-old man, I was an influencer already. I took over all these clients and I cared passionately about their success. And I became a very quick overnight success in Southern California, having amazing clients, seeing amazing success. They lost an amazing amount of weight, or I was able to fix their relationships, help them boost their careers. And the word spread very quickly. And I grew from having those 60 clients to having about 30,000 clients. And the way that I did that was the 60 clients that were in front of me, I took the best care of them possible, and I went above and beyond. I was working from 4 a.m. until midnight every single day for these 60 people. And out of those 60, maybe only 8 of them really cared for for what they signed up with me for. I was their personal trainer, and I knew if I help them get to their next level, this is my calling card. This is my business card, and they'll attract new clients for me. So maybe 8 of those 60 became very, very successful. And their success is a reflection of my own passion. Their success is it's a reflection of my ability to influence. You know, you give somebody that's overweight and you give them to me and then they turn into a model. Well, that's because I'm a strong influencer. And being a strong influencer is something that you can learn by letting go of yourself. Let go of your own goals, let go of your own aspirations, and pour that energy into somebody else. See what you naturally want to help somebody else out with, and just do that to the best of your ability. I can't think of one job in this world where you're not an influencer. If you're going to be the best at as you possibly can, your whole job is just being an influencer. Whether you're at a bakery making cookies for people, well, you're influencing them by changing their day. If your cookie is so amazing that it changes your day, well, you were influenced by the bakery. So that's what I mean by being an influencer. I've been an influencer a lot more direct by talking to people's minds and inspiring them and motivating them. But that doesn't mean that this doesn't apply to other areas. Bill Gates is an influencer in creating technology. Steve Jobs an influencer with technology. You could be an influencer in so many different ways. And when you captivate on that and that alone, then that really just unlocks so much in life. And I also work with a lot of mothers, and they really struggle a lot with their career, and they're trying to bounce back and forth. Well, do I put time into my children, or do I put time into my career? Put time into my children, put time into my career. And most often, they have a lot more fun putting time into their children than they do their career. And that bothers them because they say, well, if I put time in my children, though, that's not going to fix my finances. And my overall point here is, however you can be an influencer in society, embrace that. You don't have to be an influencer the same way that other people are influencers. And look at every child out there. Look at Einstein and Bill Gates. Look at anybody. They all have mothers. They all have fathers. So if all you want to do in your life is be a father and you just want to influence your child to be successful and you don't care about a career, you don't your passion is influencing your own personal children. Well, if you take that upon yourself and you give 200%, then trust me, that will pay off for everybody in society. You don't have to listen to society telling you, well, that's okay that you want to be a father, but you really need to have a career. That's not true. What is true is you have to be an influencer. You can't focus on just yourself. You can't focus on your own finances. You can't focus on your own dreams because those dreams were probably dreams given to you by society. They probably aren't your own dreams anyway. Somewhere you had instinctual desires to be an influencer, and the drive for money, materialism, or ego probably slowed down your access to your instinctual desires to be an influencer. So if you tap back into that, that will flourish and that will be the best part of your life, is just being that influencer. So going back to my own career, I want to talk about once I did realize that I was already an influencer at 22 and I was already helping people and there was nobody else to learn from. All these people I met in Southern California, oh my gosh, it's such a rat race out there to get the biggest ego possible. And everybody just wants to be an actor. Everybody just wants a screenplay written. And it's all about me, 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 me. And what was fascinating, my small town upbringing of growing up in a middle of the forest, close to a small village, everybody knew who I was there. And when you grow up in such a small area, your actions are under a microscope from the whole community. And if it's a good community, which mine was, then it helps polish you into a good person, into having integrity. So from a young age, teach people to have integrity and to have focus and listen to their inner voice on how they want to influence. And at the same time, um, take it from myself, most of the people that I know in Southern California that are making the movies, that are making really big moves, they are not from Southern California. You will very rarely meet somebody from Southern California that is very successful. And why is that? I think the answer to that is because they are selfish. They have a lot of ego and they have a lot of pride. And they're taught from birth that they need to live up to this materialistic idea of success. And that has rippled out all over the world now because Southern California isn't the source anymore of marketing and media. It is now anybody can open an Instagram account, Snapchat account, whatever the new fad is for that stuff. And when you watch TV, you can think, okay, well, I want to be an influencer. I want to do that. And time again, you'll see that the small town people with great integrity, community oriented, with strong values, they are the ones that rise to the top and create this centeredness. If you look at the biggest movies producers out in California, if you look at the best authors, they are not from metropolitan areas. They grew up in small towns, they had simple families, and they had wholesome values that they bring to the table. And that's why they're influencers. We are very disconnected right now with wholesome values. And the influencers that are going to rise to the top are the ones that provide that wholesome value to either their clients, consumers, customers, employees, whoever it might be. So in my own career in California, yeah, I rose to the top very quickly, and I went from 30,000 clients. I started sharing my information online. So when YouTube first came out, I was recording on little mini tapes. We didn't even have digital film back then. That's how old I am. And uploading videos, it was a hassle. You didn't have a phone or just click a button and upload to YouTube. It was a very big hassle. You had to make sure your batteries were charged, put your tape in, go out and record, and then take the tape out, convert it to digital format, and then upload it. The internet wasn't fast back then either, so it might take you an hour, 2 hours just to upload a little 10-minute video. So the world shifted a lot in the past 15 years. So my point in sharing how hard it was to upload, back then I was one of the founding influencers on YouTube, having millions of views on my videos. And I want you to see a conscious shift in how to influence people. Nobody was uploading videos for free. Videos were very expensive to make. I hired a crew for maybe $3,000 to come out and record some yoga videos with me. Film is expensive. And I gave those away 100% free up on YouTube. And the idea of giving yoga away for free on the internet, it literally did not exist back then. Maybe to you now, you're like, well, that's just normal. We've been doing that forever. We haven't been doing that forever. There were pioneers out there like myself who said, you know what? I want to give this away for free. I don't need to profit off of this. I just want to share this knowledge. I just want to share this beautiful message with people, and the message is more powerful than the money. It's the people that make that decision. Those are the people that rise to the top. Very quickly, my videos were seen all over the world. I was contacted by other top yoga coaches all over the world that wanted to work with me. And I created one of the original media branding companies that handled the yoga industry. And we filmed a lot of yoga. I traveled all over the world, met all of these celebrity yoga coaches, coached them how to be better influencers. And from about 25 years old to my early 30s, that was my career. I worked with a lot of yoga coaches and helped them come up with their books, come up with their websites, their videos. And the whole idea is, how do we influence people? How do we share this message in the best way possible? And it always boiled down to, what are you willing to give away for free? So when I would meet a top yoga coach, I would ask them, what are you willing to give away for free? What are you willing just to give people with nothing back for you? It's just a message that you're going to share with people. And that's what's going to attract millions to you. And then, yes, you could have a book, you can have a paid program as well. But the part you're going to get known for is what you give away for free, because that's your spirit wanting to share a message. And when that spirit shares a message, instead of your ego sharing a message, it's going to have a larger audience. And people are going to resonate with that a lot better. So the people that are listening to this right now, you might not say, well, I don't want to be a yoga coach. I don't want a huge website. I don't want that. Or you might be saying, that has nothing to do with me. I'm a mid-level manager at a company. I don't know how that is relevant. The reason it's relevant, the overall idea of how to influence people, that's why it's relevant. What are you willing to give away 100% for free? What are you willing to give away as one of your best secrets 100% free that you're not asking anything back for? That's going to make you an influencer, and you need to learn to live off the crumbs of your influence. So I've had millions and millions of people download and watch all of my material, but that's only turned into a few thousand customers. And when you think about the math like that, having 80 million views on some material and then it only turned into 2,000 customers, it can make sense why I had 2,000 customers. It's like, well, yeah, he had 80 million views, 2,000 customers sign up for his services. That makes sense. But if you sit here today and you don't have those 80 million views, and if I tell you, I want you to go out and get 2,000 customers, 2,000 paying customers, you're going to freak out. You're going to say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of paying customers. There's no way I can do that. And the reason you can't do that is you're looking at it from the wrong direction. When you try to go out and get 2,000 paying customers, yes, that's going to be impossible. But if you go the back way into that problem, and if you instead say, how can I give away the best pieces of my personality, and how can I just give that away 100% free? And what can I give people that I know is needed in society right now? What am I trying to hold off with that other people value? And the reason we hold off with it, you might be a business analyst, have your MBA, and know some amazing analytical tools, and having all of that knowledge, you might sit there and think, well, I can get paid a lot of money for this, and I can be a consultant. I can go in and make a lot. But you're not going to be a very strong influencer when you approach it like that. If you instead say, okay, I have all of these skills, I have this career in front of me, what would happen if I gave away that for free? What if I made some videos of that? What if I made some newsletters, wrote some blogs, and I just shared my information 100% free? Well, what's going to happen? Um, you're going to build an audience, and you're going to get people like, I run a lot of companies. So if I saw a data analyst that was fresh out of college, they just got their MBA, and they've been studying some amazing analytics software, I would be intrigued. I mean, I'm a master at that, but I can always learn more. Um, Bill Gates would be intrigued. So if you write that blog and if you really put your heart into it and then you give it away for free online, you're going to get people like me reaching out to you saying, wow, I want to learn more. Or I would say, that's great. Can I pay you 1 hour to work with you? Because you obviously have a lot of knowledge and I have a project over here. So maybe I can hire you for a few hours. So that becomes your business card to success. So today, in your first direction of learning how to be an influencer, I'm going to speak to your ego. I'm going to speak to you materialistically because you don't yet understand it. If you're not an influencer with millions of people following, it's simply you don't understand what your voice is supposed to be used for. Um, so I'm going to speak to that ego and I'm going to show you how you can get money by influencing people because the ego wants to hear that. But long term, I want you to listen to this again, and I want you to see the goal is not to make money. The goal is just to influence. The influence is what you get paid. When you see 1,000 people download your product and use it and have success with it, you don't need food. You don't need housing. You don't need anything. Just helping those people is literally all that you need. Your kids don't need new toys. You don't need new education. You don't need a bigger house. You literally don't need anything. What your heart is yearning for and what you're wanting to spend all that money on anyway is your own happiness. And your happiness it'll actually come from helping all these people. It's not going to come from those toys that you're going to buy. It's not going to come from the vacation that you go on. The happiness is going to come by the influencing itself. And the influencing itself, there's a phrase called helper's high. And the same dopamine that we get released in our brain, this is a chemical reaction. It's um, the dopamine that gets released can get released if you eat ice cream, can get released if you eat chocolate, can get released through sex, through drugs, through sunlight. There's so many ways you can have dopamine released. And that same dopamine can get released through the helper's high, which just means by helping other people. So if you feel down or if you feel lost or if you feel like you want to make more money and do something cool, well, go help people, go influence people, and give the best parts of yourself away 100% free. And the cool thing about that is if you have an addiction to spending stuff or if you feel like you're not making enough money, this actually will shift your entire budget. At the end of your day, when you have freedom and you're thinking about what can be fun to do, instead of doing something for yourself, find an audience and build that audience. Now, we have other classes teaching how to do that, how to use Canva, how to use YouTube, how to make videos. We teach all the technical sides of how to reach an audience, and that's definitely an important step in this. But today I'm more talking about the psychological change that you need to make to build that audience. Now, let me scale this back just a little bit, and this is going to be the last piece that I talk about. I want to scale it back to the mid-level manager or even an intern or a new hire. And I mentioned this before. How can you go into a company and how can you stand out and show that your manager that you're more than just a normal employee? So if you go to your manager or your boss and you say, what is the biggest problem this company has? Where do we need the most influence? There's always going to be a place. Maybe the products suck. Maybe the security isn't there with the company. Maybe the new hires need more training. Um, Maybe the outreach program isn't going very well. Maybe you're not doing A/B testing appropriately. Who knows what it might be? There's so many different areas that you could be focusing on, and if you master one of those areas or you bring your own skill set to those areas and you say, you know what, I want to influence that crowd to be the best of the best. You literally can go into any department in any company and you can be an influencer just by caring. Care alone is the core of influencing. Um, if you're not a chef, you can go in a kitchen and you can make chefs better. You can make the whole restaurant run better just by caring. You can move a good mid-level manager to any company, and their ability to influence, their ability to have passion and care, going above and beyond the norm, that's what moves something forward. I can move into any country, any job, and not even knowing the language, I can influence and bring that company to more power just with a smile, just with happiness and confidence. I don't need to even speak the local language. I can watch what they do and I can watch to see, is it safe? Did they write it down? Are they encouraging each other? And are they trying and going above and beyond just the norm? The average employee only works 2 hours a day. Think about that. 2 hours, that's it. That's all they care about their job. And if you step in, not knowing the language, not knowing the subject, and you become the reason that the average goes above 2 hours a day, then your company, your project will be incredibly successful compared to all the others around the world. So that's all I wanted to cover in the core of this. But now I want to talk to you guys about any questions that you might have or any other subjects that you might want to cover.
Well, that was a very interesting session about influence and giving back. I think I never thought, I thought a lot about influencing. I mean, leadership was one of the courses that we covered in the MBA, but I never put it in perspective that it's giving something back. I always looked at it as leading people to become their best, but not like giving something back. It's like a new approach for me, at least with my children, the two creatures that I'm influencing the most right now.
Yeah, essentially, if you look at a sports team, the captain of the team is usually one of the better players. You don't really have a weak player being the captain. Um, in the same way in business, you usually don't have somebody that's bad at what they're doing being the manager. Um, so if you look at a sports team, when you're the best baseball player, then you can go above and beyond by not just being the best, but you can take extra time out of your own career and your own athleticism, and you can go encourage the other players on the team. And that's going crazy above and beyond. And so you're sharing your skills with them, and you're not getting paid for that. You're not getting anything. But that's what moves you into the position of being the team captain. And then the whole team's success becomes your own success. If someone else hits a home run, someone else does something really well, you can actually claim that as your own personal success, even though all you did was provide encouragement or provide, if you stayed and did more training with the team. Because even a baseball team, a lot of the really good players, they choose not to show up for practice. They feel, well, I don't need to go to practice. I'm already amazing. But the idea is you're not going to practice for yourself. If you're already amazing, you're going to practice for the rest of the team. You shouldn't be there for yourself. You should start thinking about, well, what can I provide for the people that need it? In our own company, for example, we have so many new interns. It's the first time they've ever been in a corporate environment. They're very nervous about it. They're scared about it. They literally just get excited if they can download the software and come on and say hi for one time. That in their head is an amazing success. A lot of these people, they're the first person in their whole family that has ever done anything in the corporate world. And that's a huge success. They're like, whoa, I talked with a manager today and we went over Salesforce. Like, that's just amazing. Whereas in your life, you're like, well, yeah, I use Salesforce, I use 80 different tools, no big deal. But in their life, they're battling a lot of different things. Just keeping the electric on in their house, making sure that they don't get put in jail, or being the first in the family to ever go to college and ever have any kind of success. There's already a lot of pressure in other areas. So stepping up and being an influencer just by saying, hey, I'm here today, I'm passionate for learning, I'm passionate for giving back, it really sets a tone with other people that, okay, I can be here and I can learn too. Taking it back to the baseball, same thing. A lot of people, they struggle with drugs in their family, they struggle with depression. Just showing up at baseball practice, and I'm talking about the majors, Olympic athletes, the best of the best, they all have personal struggles. They might be on the brink of divorce. They might being abused at home, or they might even be the abuser and they're dealing with self-addiction to being angry towards other people. There's so many toxins in every single person. So when they show up on that baseball field and they're throwing the ball around, um, a lot of people don't realize what the home life looks like that they're escaping from. They don't realize the struggles of just showing up, just driving there, not getting in a wreck, being healthy enough just to show up. That's a huge success in any business and any team. And if you can consistently show up and consistently be happy, then you're going to naturally have people gravitate towards you to want to know, how do you do it? How do you show up that often? How do you always give your best every day? Um, and then, yeah, being a team lead and giving something really, really substantial, that's definitely important, like you said, Polina. But bringing it back down to the foundation, we're not living in a society that is as complex as people make it out to be. Because, like I said, when I moved to California, I thought people there were going to be amazing. I thought they were going to challenge me in so many directions. It just wasn't the case. People struggled with, I mean, these top multimillionaires, they literally could not pay me. My bills to them were like $2,000 a month. They couldn't pay that $2,000 a month bill. These are multimillionaires in $10 million houses, just insane to me. I mean, I grew up in a house in the middle of the forest, and a house worth $1 million, that was just crazy. But they couldn't pay a small personal trainer fee and they had to budget it out month by month. It really showed me the world is not held together by all these amazing people that have amazing skills. The world is held together by small families that struggle with the day-to-day stuff, even at the top high-end level. And if you can be one of the people that provides safety, health, happiness at the very basic foundation to these other families, even to these other multimillionaires, you're going to very quickly rise to the top and realize you're a top manager in the whole world. So, do you guys have other areas that you want to cover on today's session?
Yeah, I just want to respond a few things you talked about that I really agree. Like, one thing is, in my class, like we have 10 teams. No, no, not 10. Sorry. 8 teams. And my team wasn't the best team. But I was one of the most competitive student there. And so when I was comparing my team with other teams, and I figured out that the best 2 teams um, are led by people that know how to glue the whole teams together. It's not about like being a competitive leader. It's about how can you bring everybody together. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a huge awakening for people. And again, like when I went to California, I thought these people, I mean, when I was a kid, I would have craved, we didn't have YouTube back then. I would have craved to get some high-end coaching. And since I lived in the middle of nowhere, to get a high-end coach, I would have had to travel 3 hours, stay in a hotel, and work with somebody in the Midwest that probably didn't have very high skills. And it was disheartening as a young kid trying to get better skills, trying to learn how the world works. I just didn't have that ability. And then when I get to California, these people have, I mean, there's millions of people all over with amazing skills, but the common public don't tap into that. The common public are very disconnected. And it wasn't the fact that I didn't have any amazing skills. My family values and the integrity and the wholesomeness, that's what held my teams together. So that's something I didn't really touch on today's lesson. It wasn't so much that um, that even I had those family values or that I was influencing people. It's that I encouraged those other people to influence others. I encouraged them to be family oriented and to realize for us as a business to grow, we all need to be family oriented. If you're a great mother and your kids love you and they want to be around you every day, then bring that to work. I have our coworkers, they're babies. They need babysat. They need encouraged. They need awards. Um, the world is very simple. Everybody has a 5-year-old living inside of them. And if you know how to influence a 5-year-old, you literally know how to influence everybody. Everybody in the whole world acts like a 5-year-old. And there's nothing wrong with that. No reason to judge it. Just be aware of it and bring that nurturing spirit to a business. Because right now, in our own organization, for example, we just need people to show up. People have skills, people have abilities, and they can make a difference. But if they don't show up and if they don't feel loved when they show up, they're not going to care. They're not going to make an effort. So we need people at the top that are influencing and letting that ripple down throughout and talking to the inner 5-year-old in everyone else. So we've already gone on for an hour today. If we have other stuff, we can cover it in another session. So I definitely want to go over some technical tools in a next talk on the same subject, because a lot of what we talked about today, again, it was just for the psychology side of it. I do recommend that you guys tap into this with your own audience, whether it's with your own kids, you haven't been giving them focus, whether you have interns that you could be partnering with, or if it's people in your organization as colleagues. Don't look at them as competitors of yours, or even if it's distant people that you're not connected to at all. There's definitely an opportunity for you to give away the best jewels of your wisdom to somebody out there. And the more you do that, that's going to hone in your ability to be an influencer. So when you pair up all of this with the technology tools I'm going to talk about next time, that creates a overwhelming ability to be a very strong influencer. So thanks for coming today, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Matt.
Bye-bye.